Okay, lesson 2 of chapter 2 is about solving two-step equations. So if you solve two-step equations, that basically says you have two things to do. So if you think about even the most basic of equations, the little bitty tiny baby ones, you may have something that looks like this. Okay, so what does that mean? That means x, which we're trying to find. Let's just call that Travis. Travis plus 3 equals 7. Forget that it's an x. Doesn't really mean anything different. So if I take and add 3 to him, how would you find out what he is? Well, you would have to undo it. And again, the rule for equation, just like we learned in yesterday's lesson, whatever you do to one side, you have to do the same exact thing to the other side. So a positive 3, negative 3, going to cancel out. So x would equal 4. Now, let's say that not only are we adding 3, but let's say now let's just add another thing. Let's maybe also times him by 2. All right? So you have to have the x by itself. You need a 1 in front of x and 1 in front of x only. So you have to first identify what is actually happening to this. So if this is my x, what's actually happening to it? Well, it's being multiplied by 2. And then after that is over, you're adding 3 to it. All right, so there's actually a couple different things happening here. So in order to get this by itself, you have to undo things in reverse order. Well, that doesn't even make sense. Why do you have to do them backwards? Well, this is why. Let's say, just think about this for a minute. Let's say on your stick person, you're going to put on a shirt. Okay? And then on top of that shirt, you now want to put, because you're cold, it's getting kind of chilly now, now you want to put on a long sleeve hoodie over the top of that, all the way back. Okay? So, what if I change my mind now? I'm getting a little hot. I still want the hoodie on, but I don't want the t-shirt on. Well, don't you have to take this hoodie off in order to get that t-shirt off, right? So think about those kind of things. So if I want x by itself, I'm not only going to have to take this off, but I also have to take this away from it as well. So if I have that, I have to take and undo my add and subtract first. So how would I undo and add 3? I would subtract 3. From both sides. Plus 3 and a minus 3 cancel each other out. So on the left side of the equal sign, I only have a 2x. On the right side, I have a 4. Now that I've got my add and subtraction taken care of, then now I can deal with my one that's attached to the letter. I always deal with the one attached to the letter last. So how do you undo? This means multiply when they're right next to each other. How do you undo multiplication? Divide. Divide. So x would be equal to 2. And again, I don't have to see x equals, but it's highly recommended. Highly recommended. It is good algebraic technique. And I know you're all about the good algebraic technique. All right, so this is what we just did. We did the symbol part of it. All right, so I want you to pause it and try these A and B. Come on. Try A and B right there. All right, back with me. Let's work these out together. Again, I go right to the side that has the letter. I leave the letter for last, and I have to undo the other part. So how do I undo a plus 2? I would subtract 2. And again, you need to write each step down. Oh, I don't need to do that. Actually, you do, because these are maybe not baby equations, but they're young children. All right? They're going to get so much bigger very quickly. They grow up way too fast. So that is gone. So I've got 3x equals 18. Now I should always have a letter left, and I'm multiplying this letter by 3. So to undo that, I do the opposite. I do inverse operations. Divide by 3. X is equal to 6. So A is 6. All right, let's do B. B, again, I leave the letter part for last, so I have to undo the plus and the minus. So this is a positive 5, right? There's no sign in front of it. So I have to subtract 5 or put a negative 5, whichever way you want to think about it, with that. And whatever I do to this side, I have to do to this side. So positive 5, negative 5 cancel each other out. So on the left side, I have 2n. Now on the right side, I want you to make sure that this is not just negative 1 minus 5, right? That these signs are the same. So when the signs are same, we actually add them together. Those are those rules that we reviewed at the very beginning of the year. Now I've got that. I will divide both sides by 2. That makes a 1, which is exactly what I want in front of the n, is a 1. Negative 3. N is equal to negative 3. Kind of looks like a crossed out sign, but again, that's just that shady pen I got going on. All right, let's move on down here and try some ones that maybe just have fractions in them. Things are on the other side of the equation. Exact same process, all right? So whenever I have ones that look like example 2. Again, my eye goes right where the variable is. That's the guy I want to make happy, right here. So I deal with him. So if I've got, let's just write it over here in the line, I've got 25 equals 1/4 n minus 3. So right now, I wouldn't even worry about what's on this side. We don't care what's on the other side. We only care about breaking off all the layers off of this n. So to break off all the layers of the n, we have to undo the plus and the minus first. Remember, it's order of operations in reverse. So I have to undo this. So to undo a minus 3, I'm going to add 3 to both sides. Again, has to be on the other side of the equal sign. So I can't add 3 to this. Has to be on the other side. So add 3. Negative 3, positive 3 cancel. There's my equal sign. So on the left side, I have 28. And on the right side, I have 1/4 n. So this looks like an equation that we had yesterday. So if I've got 1/4 n, remember I could either divide by 1/4 or I could multiply by its reciprocal. So I'm going to choose to multiply by its reciprocal, 4/1, which means I need to multiply this side by 4/1. And if this is a fraction, then this one has to be a fraction, so we just put it over 1. All right? These cancel. So on the right-hand side, I just leave n. On this side, I'm going to take 4 times 28, and if you cannot do that in your head, go off to the side. 112. All right, so your eye should immediately go wherever the variable is and try it. So on C and D, you need to take care of A, and you need to take care of R. So let's say C, let's take care of Ashton. And in D, let's take care of Reagan. All right, that's an A and an R. So pause it, try C and D. All right, so if you are back with me on C and D, let's clear this business off and see what we got. So we're coming in to rescue Ashton right here. So if I've got negative 1 equals 1/2 A, 1/2 A plus 9. So here is my variable. That's Ashton. I need to keep track of right here. All right, we got to take care of him, which means we need to get everything else off. So I've got a plus 9. So I'm going to have to put a minus 9 or subtract 9. However you want to think of it, it is the exact same mathematically. All right, so on the right side, that's gone. I've got 1/2 A left over here. So on this side, I've got a negative 1, negative 9. This is where those integer skills come from. A negative 1 put with a negative 9 is negative 10. All right, Ashton's almost free. So to break him out, we can divide by 1/2. Divide by 1/2, or you can multiply by the reciprocal, either way. So if you divide fractions, remember it's the number you're dividing. You have to flip it and multiply, which is multiply by the reciprocal anyway. So my answer for C, negative 20. Ashton is free. All right, D, 2/5 R 2/5 r minus 5 equals 7. 2/5 r minus 5 equals 7. Again, you should be taking notes of this, not just writing down what the answers were, but you should have all of this work right here on your paper. If you are not putting all that work on your paper, you're taking the lazy way out of it, it will bite you in the butt quicker rather than later. I guarantee it. See it every year. All right, Reagan, right here. We have to undo things. He has been multiplied by 2/5. There's also been a 5 subtracted from him. So to get him back to normal, we need to add 5. Right? And it has to go to both sides, on both sides of the equal sign. So a -5 plus 5, that cancels out. So on the left side, we have 2/5 r. On the right side, I've got a positive 7 and a positive 5, which is a positive 12. So he has now only been multiplied by 2/5. So if I want to multiply by its reciprocal, or I could divide by 2/5, same thing. Multiply by its reciprocal, make this a fraction. Those cancel, leaving on this side only Reagan. On this side, I can cancel this and this. 2 goes in here once, 2 goes in here 6 times. Final answer, 30. Okay? So hopefully that is sticking with you. All right? So let's try a couple more. Let's move on down here. These, honestly, are not going to be any different, only they're going to have a negative coefficient. All right? Same thing. So let's try number 3. Number 3. And I've got an x. So this is Xavier, and we need to find him. And he is being multiplied by a -3, and there's also a 6 attached to it. So to do the work, we have to, I want you to realize that this -3 is the same thing as plus a -3, all right? So I just want you to get that in your head. You can write this step out if you wish. I wish you would. But anyway, that's your choice. So we are going to subtract 6 from both sides. That cancels that out, leaving on this side just -3x. And on this side, 21 minus 6, 15. Now I can divide both sides by -3. X is equal to -5. So Xavier is equal to -5. All right, again, and you can always, there's no excuse for missing these. Always check this right back in it. If x is equal to -5, you put that right there. 6 minus 3 times -5, so minus a minus 15. 6 plus 15, 21. If both sides equal each other, you are good. All right? So I want you to try E, F, and G, and you may want to do this. Instead of -2/3 p, you may want to say plus a negative. You may want to say plus a -3x. I don't know. You may not want to, but I would. All right. So pause those and try it. All right. So back to E. And we're kind of running out of time. You know, we've only got a 15-minute time limit here. So let's try E, and I'm just going to put the steps out here for you. I would subtract 10 from both sides. -2/3 p equals 42. Multiply by -3/2. Multiply, that's a 4, by -3/2. Answer to E is -63. F, I need to subtract 2 from both sides. Remember, we're keeping the x by itself until the very end. Again, this is a -19, -2, that is a -21. So it's not going to be -17. So make sure you catch that. -3x is the only thing left on the right-hand side. Divide by -3, divide by -3, those cancel. Negative divided by a negative is a +7. So F is 7. Last one. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Remember, I leave the variable until the very last. Those cancel. So on this side, I've got n divided by -3 equals, and I'm adding 2 to a +18, so that's a -16. So now, how do you undo a divide by -3? You have to multiply by -3. Multiply by -3. So that answer there is a +48. +48. So take your time, watch your signs. You should be good. If not, see me tomorrow.